The fighting going on between the Ukrainian armies and people of Ukraine and the Russian army, of course, goes on thousands of miles from us, and yet the ramifications for those of us here at home are manyfold. And for that reason, I've been wanting for a couple of weeks now to have on Michigan Senator Gary Peters, who is the chair of the Senate Committee on Homeland Security. He's good enough to join us from Washington this morning. Senator, always good to have you on the program. Let me start with, as the president was leaving for his trip to Europe, he was also advising us that he thought that we might be on the brink of cyber concerns from Russia. Give me a little bit of the lay of the land with what you think our domestic worries are right now.
Well, certainly we have to have our guard up, but we know that the Russians are actively engaged in cyber attacks against the United States on a regular basis. They are constantly hitting systems, probing systems, not just the Russian government, also criminal entities that operate out of Russia, with, quite frankly, with a wink and a nod from Mr. Putin, that are engaged in attacks in our businesses. But given what's happening in Ukraine, we expect that activity to ramp up. Quite frankly, we're a little surprised we haven't seen a ramp up of some of that activity in Ukraine, for example. But we need to be prepared, as the president mentioned. And that's why it's critical that we have our guard up to the fullest extent possible.
If we've been watching what we certainly seems to be a struggle for the Russian military, everything from the way that supply chains are working to the way that actual command is working, they've lost a number of generals. If they are struggling on the military front, I don't think we expect them to have as much trouble struggling on the cyber front. This is something they seem very good at doing, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. As I mentioned, they've been actively engaged in this space for some time, and it's a little curious we haven't seen more of that. Some folks are speculating because they have their hands full on the ground with what's called kinetic attacks, actual bombs exploding and tanks moving, that they may be preoccupied from that. But I would not find any comfort in that. We have to be ready. We are also assisting the Ukrainian government, the Ukrainian military, because we expect to see a ramp up of activities there as well. But certainly that is why it was important for us to move things like legislation that I was able to pass to require critical infrastructure to actually report to our critical infrastructure security agency when there is a cyber attack. Right now, because of a variety of reasons, we believe that we probably only know about 25 to 30% of the attacks that we're actually receiving in this country. And that's unacceptable. We have to have a better sense of that. And, when you go into war, one of the first things in warfare is you have to have situational awareness. You have to know where the enemy is, what sort of weapons they have. You have to know where you are, what sort of defenses in order to defend. And that same strategy, that same necessity is in the cyber realm as well.
Yeah, and we have to worry about what the Pentagon refers to as a crisis of imagination. What are the things that we haven't thought of? Cyber is one worry for us domestically. What are the other ones that you have your eye on and that we all should be paying attention to?
Well, cyber is the number one threat related to what's happening in Russia. But clearly, from a homeland security perspective, we also have to worry about things such as domestic terrorism. We have seen an increase of domestic terrorist attacks in recent years. We still need to be focused on foreign terrorism. That's nothing you can take your eye off. But if you look at the terrorist attacks that we've seen in recent years, they've all been homegrown. They've been domestic. And unfortunately, many of those attacks have been focused on places of worship. That's why I was in town just the previous week with Secretary Mayorkas talking about our nonprofit security grants that is offered through FEMA, something I've worked to increase the amount of resources available in grants that our places of worship can apply for to make their sanctuaries safer for folks who are going there to pray.
Senator, let's move now to, I'm wondering where you think our level and ability to help is right now. I think that the expectation from so many was that the Russian army was going to run through Ukraine like a hot knife through butter. It has been extraordinary to watch the resolve and the resiliency of the Ukrainian people and their armies. They've even been able to take back some territory. The longer this goes on, do you feel any change in your calculus of what our ability is to do to help? And does that help become, in a way, more critical as we listen to President Zelensky begging for more assistance?
Actually, it does look like this is going to go longer than folks had anticipated, and it's directly the result of the incredible courage and the tenacity of the Ukrainian people and the Ukrainian military, and their effective use of weapons that the United States, as well as our allies, have provided to the Ukraine military, particularly in their anti-armor and ground-to-air defense systems. So this could drag on much longer, and that's going to be a tremendous stalemate for Mr. Putin. Clearly, he miscalculated. But the other thing that we've got to be focused on is the humanitarian crisis. We're seeing a humanitarian crisis, something we haven't seen since World War II, from the refugees that are pouring across the border to escape the tragedy of this horrible war that Mr. Putin started, as well as Ukrainians who continue to be in the country. So that's going to be a continuing focus for me and my colleagues to make sure the resources are there to help the Ukrainian people.
Absolutely. And of course, we've got a huge Ukrainian population here in Michigan, as well as Polish. We're watching so many wrinkle effects that are impacting us locally here on this. But can you see any circumstance under which you would support a no-fly zone over Ukraine, helping get the MiG jets, anything more that some people are fearing would be a bridge too far?
Well, I think it's important for us to make sure we're listening to our military advisors as to what is the best course of action. Certainly, a no-fly zone is a very complicated thing, and it basically means that we are engaged with Russians. In order to put forward a no-fly zone, the first thing you have to do is take out air defense systems to protect U.S. aircraft that are enforcing that no-fly zone, and that means you're attacking folks on the ground. You will kill Russian soldiers in the process. Some of these air defense systems aren't even in Ukraine. They may be in Russia proper. That would require going into Russia proper. So clearly that is a very significant escalation. Right now, I believe our best course is to make sure the Ukrainian military has the resources they need. And you look at how effective they have been. Javelin missiles, for example, have been devastating against the Russian armor vehicles. And they know how to use those very effectively, and they have been absolutely incredible, to the point now we're actually seeing counteroffensives, not just defensive positions, but they've actually been able to do a counteroffensive, which is not something we would have anticipated.
When it comes to sanctions, there have been those criticizing President Biden for what has been a very slow walk from 0 to 60, and that some argue we should have been at 100 miles an hour from the get-go. Why in the world do we keep adding sanctions when we should be using everything possible at our disposal from the very starting gate?
Well, we did go very quick, and I think what the most important use, or the biggest strength, I should say, the strongest the sanctions will be, is when you get the world community involved in sanctions, and you're bringing everybody along makes them incredibly powerful. And we did see that. We saw to the buildup with before the invasion. There was a release of classified information, intelligence that normally wouldn't be released that early, to show the world community what Mr. Putin was up to. And when he did cross the border, you saw a very quick reaction and swift reaction from our allies. Allies that you wouldn't even expect that would be engaged in sanctions. Switzerland, for example, that has a long, long history of neutrality. We are strong when the world democracies all work together. Those are powerful sanctions. We now have unprecedented sanctions, and we're going to continue to push those forward, bring the Russian economy to its knees. But it happens most effectively when you have the world's democracies coming together and saying, we're going to stand up to this authoritarian, this dictatorship, and democracy and freedom will prevail in the end.
Senator, I've got a little less than a minute left, and I wanted to make sure we got to one other topic. We saw what seems to be, some would describe it as rare bipartisan support for your bill that you hope will finally, it's on its way to the president's desk here, will finally get the post office right-sized and on a better footing. I've only got about 30 seconds left. Your thoughts?
Well, just excited to get that through. It was 15 years in the making to do some common sense reforms. I've been working on it for the last couple of years. We brought it together and passed the Senate with 79 votes, and will now put the Postal Service on much sounder financial footing to allow them to invest for the future.
Postal Reform Act. Senator Peters, good to talk to you. Thanks you so much for your time. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you so much. Take care.
You bet.